Really?
I want to introduce my friend Myrna.
Got one over here.
Oh, so sorry, Charlotte. You have to introduce me.
I'm insignificant. I'm Charlotte, I'm very glad.
Good to see you, Charlotte.
I want to say that we had last minutes, Marguerite wasn't okay and Pat wasn't okay, and that's why we're so late. We had to go gathering food and people trying to get here. My friend is a handwriting expert, and she wants each one of you to write what she's given you, and then you're going to analyze your own handwriting. And I've known and loved Myrna for years, and she's just going to tell you things that she knows about you from looking at this that you don't think anybody would know from looking at this. Is that enough?
Only I'm not gonna, you're gonna tell yourself.
Yes.
In other words, I'm not gonna reveal any secrets.
Okay, guys, I can chatter.
Yeah, let's listen so she can be heard.
Am I home?
You're on.
Oh, okay. I'm gonna stand up. And you all can analyze what the paper is and what the sentence is.
Can you hear her?
Not
You're going to have to talk a little louder. Myrna.
a little bit.
Scream.
Project. Okay. That's a sentence that has almost all the letters of the alphabet in it. It means nothing other than to give me a sample or to give you a sample of your own handwriting. I'm not going to reveal any secrets unless you ask me a question. What does it mean if I do this? And then if I tell you, it might make everybody laugh. It has happened many, 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 many times before. There's so much I could do. I could talk for a long, long time. So I want you or somebody to shut me up when it's time. Because I know y'all are hungry.
We don't have a problem with that.
Okay. But you don't know me.
Thank you.
Now, if you all are young enough, you may not even write in cursive. Because unfortunately, they're not teaching it in schools like they used to. Everybody prints, all the kids print like little computers. And I'm sorry, it takes an awful lot out of what I do. And it breaks my heart. Because it takes all the loops, all the curves, all the swerves, all the upper loops, all the lower loops. They're gone. And you tell so much from the writing. And I'm sorry, my back is to you all. I will try to back up here a little bit. I'll start with the T, but I'm not going to continue forever with the T. The way you cross your T, well, I can give a whole lecture on how you cross your T.
Are you serious?
A whole lecture. There are about 13 traits that you can tell by how you cross your T.
Wow.
But I'm going to give you the ones that I think could do you the most good. Let's imagine this is the lowercase writing, where your small letters are. This is the uppercase, and it's exaggerated a little bit for this drawing. Where you cross that T is where you place your goals. And if they're way down low, that means you play it safe. You do only the things you know you can do well. And you're a little bit hesitant, maybe a whole lot hesitant, about going into an area you're not sure you can do well. These people do not want to get in an area. Actually, it's called a fear of failure. You don't want to get into something you can't do. So you do only the things you know you can do well. Hopefully you do that really, really well. So then you get up a little higher. There's a little practicality coming in there. You're still practical. You don't shoot for the moon. But there's a little hesitancy. You still want to be sure that it's a good area for you. Then you cross your T-bar up high. This is somebody that puts a goal up to work toward. They want to aim high. They want to succeed. They have dreams, unless it doesn't even touch the body of the T. It floats on top. Then you quit working altogether. You're just dreaming about it.
Okay.
And at my age, I've been doing that a lot. Whoa, it's too late for me. Whoa, it'll be nice in the next lifetime. But along with this, how heavy the stroke is how much energy goes into those goals. If it's a little faint line that you just, no energy, no pressure, no, that means your goals are being set by other people and circumstances. They're not really something you are visualizing. So the more energy, the deeper the line, the heavier the stroke, the clearer the goal is. Then,
Before you go to another letter, will you tell them how people have changed by changing how they cross the T?
well, I have really just, well, there's not a handwriting analyst around that doesn't make a good T-bar. It's just too easy to do. However, I will tell you, it will not make a difference in your life until you can do it without thinking. In other words, but it's a great practice. It's a great practice. If you are, and I'll use my grandson. I adore him, and people get tired of me talking about him that know me well. But he's 21. He's in his junior year at college up at North Georgia. And he's grown up with me, but he never wanted me to do his handwriting. I mean, it's just something Grandma did, you know. And then he got a girlfriend. And he said, she needs some help. If I brought her down there, do you think you could analyze her handwriting? And I said, well, of course. Oh, let me back up, though. Before that happened, about 2 or 3 months before that, he was at my house for dinner, and he said, would you analyze my handwriting? And I said, well, of course. And he prints. I don't get near as much out of his handwriting as I do people that write cursive, or they used to write longhand. But I did it. I told him, and all I told him was, Max, you need to cross your T's up higher. I said, you will aim higher, you will have more confidence in yourself. See, it's a confidence level as well as a goal-setting level. If you have confidence, you will aim. If you feel good about yourself, you're more willing to try. And so he was interested, and I didn't think much more about it until the girlfriend came. And he wanted me to do his little girlfriend. And I was doing her, and he was sitting across the table, and he said, will you do mine for me? He just laughed. And I said, well, yeah, but it won't have changed much. I mean, I just did it 6 months ago. You're not going to be having something really different. But I think he wanted her to hear. All the nice things that I was going to say. Oh, what, are you getting me a microphone? You can pin it right here. But anyway, I took one look at his handwriting and I said, Max, you're crossing your T's up high. I said, have you noticed a difference? I have. This kid is gone into business for himself. He's making videos for a living. He's just started out. He's got his car with print on it, Bentley Media. We make videos. I mean, he's 21. He's still in college. And he is so confident and aiming so high But I said, do you think it's made a difference? And he said, yes. And I said, how in this length of time? He said, I had a 3-page dissertation I had to write for school. And instead of putting it on the computer, I sat up and I wrote it and I crossed every T up high. Well, handwriting has long been called brain writing. If you know how to write, say I'm going to write cat, C-A-T, it just comes out automatically. You do not have to think, I'll make a C this way, and I'll make an A this way, and I'll make a T this way. It just comes out automatic. All right, the minute you can quit thinking, it becomes natural to you and will become a picture of yourself. Actually, and I'm diverting a little bit here, do you realize I could take every one of you and put you in the same family, the same teachers, the same environment for your whole adult until you're here? No two of you would write alike. You're all different. Your handwriting is as individual as your fingerprint. And no matter how much you change, your handwriting will change with you, but it will never be changed so much that you cannot be identified by it. Yes?
Even somebody practice your handwriting, if they, like, you write something down and they take time out to try to practice your way you write.
You just led me into one of my best stories.
Okay.
I had a teenage son. I have two, but this is what I'll talk about. He used to practice my signature. Oh man, he could copy it. He could copy it and his teachers did not know it was not me. You know what he was doing? He was giving himself my traits. And to this day, he's got 2 of my traits. He's enthusiastic, which is a long T-bar. If you cross that T with and it's longer than what you were taught in school, that is the trait of enthusiasm. Well, he was crossing that T, just like Mom, and he was giving himself that trait. Another one is a sense of humor. He has enthusiasm and a sense of humor. Oh, and diplomacy, because of me. You know what diplomacy is? Tell them to go to hell and make them look forward to the trip.
I love it.
What's the indicator of that?
Huh?
What's the indicator?
I'm looking for it right now. I'm not used to using this. I usually have a whiteboard or a blackboard, and I do it as I'm talking and show you what I'm talking about. Here is this is diplomacy. And it can be anywhere in your writing.
Wow.
It's where a stroke is higher and the next one is smaller and the next one is smaller. It can be in a letter, as this is. It can be in a word like A, N, D, you know, it gets smaller as it goes. Or, in other words, anywhere in the writing where you see cascading strokes. This is the trait of diplomacy.
Wow.
Does it have to show up a lot or just occasionally?
And I never understood why I did that, but I've always have done that as a child, growing up. And I used to get this.
And you could get people to do anything
And I always get A's in handwriting. Always. A's in handwriting.
Hey Myrna, does it have to show up?
Now, Lynn, is that
Word
true?
after word after word?
Can you get-
No, that's a very good
Can you
point.
I have I'm kind of, yeah, I have a certain, especially when it comes, I would say to men, I would say, I have a certain amount of power over a majority of the men that I know, whether I'm intimate with them or not. I have a certain level of control when it comes to them. They happen to listen to me for some reason.
You see them?
I'm
This
working
is-
on it.
Will they work on Roger?
This is talkativeness.
That must be from her.
That's why I looked it up.
We on cue.
If your A's and your O's, your circle letters are open, You notice they don't hinge up at the top. It can be in a G.
Man, it's like that too.
Yeah, we knew. We didn't have to look at your handwriting.
And what does that mean?
But this is the ability to
Talk too much.
talk.
Wow.
Hey, my other son, he has this. And there were times when he was a teenager, I wanted to tell him, please shut up. I do not want to hear what you are telling me. He used to come dancing through the I'm going to get me some loving tonight. He was 14.
How old is he now?
62.
With how many children?
Huh?
With how many children?
My children, I had two. Oh, he only had one. He had the Max, the good guy.
So he didn't get that many love then?
Honey, you know, we don't want to go into that. No, sir, we do not want to go into that. I'm going to start with the word now because that's what y'all have written. Okay, and if you don't have this, it means absolutely nothing for you to be alarmed about. But if you do have it, it's such a happy trait. It's such a fun trait. I used to wish that I could give it out to everybody. Instead of wishing for peace in the world, I used to want to give everybody a sense of humor. What is a sense of humor? Of course you can laugh at a joke. Of course. That goes without saying. That's not what the trait really means. It means seeing the humor in all of life. No matter how bad things get,
Yes.
you can pick that little something that gets you through. You can ease the strain for other people in an awkward situation. Somebody's embarrassed, somebody has made them feel awkward and uncomfortable. You come up with that little remark, everybody laughs, and the strain is over. You move on. And so, yeah.
What word is it that says that? The beginning or
It's the, excuse me, thank you. I didn't even tell you, I just got it written. It's the smooth flourish at the beginning of a letter. Now, I've got it on the N, it can be on the M, it can be on a capital F, on a capital T. Anywhere you see a smooth flourish. It can be in a little letter, or it can be in a capital letter. But it's a smooth line, and if you don't have it, don't worry about it.
What do you mean by a smooth line? It's curved?
There's no loops, there's no quick
No
reversal,
point.
no quick reversal of, it's just a flow. It's just a flow, I don't know how else to explain it. So a good sense of humor. And actually, I do not mind questions. I mean, sometimes questions make me say something I should have already remembered how to say.
Talk to you again.
Huh?
Like, I kind of want to ask about the T. Okay, what if you like, when you're making like you have time, or the, and you cross your T with the last letter that you,
You mean the T is here and you cross it way down here?
no. I mean, the show.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. I see that.
Okay.
See how I do that there, and there. I do it all my T's almost.
Oh, will you come back and, yeah.
Right. Instead of doing that from the beginning.
That's persistence. Man, you'll stick to something forever to get the job.
She sure will.
Oh.
And then my hands.
Yeah. Oh, and you're so self-conscious. Honey, I could do your whole writing.
Do her.
I'll ask you, because I kind of want to ask you anyway.
I
And I'll do a few
have a
things.
question for maybe before you begin with that. What does it mean when you maybe start in print and then go into cursive?
That can be artistic tendencies. It can be artistic tendencies. Actually, any time, like I look, and you always look at all of the writing. Just like this, I'll get back to you. I'll see if you have this. No, you don't. You're very loyal and you do not have irritability.
Wow.
Okay.
Wow.
Don't make it.
I lost my train of thought. Keep on with this. All right. Irritability is a flick of an eye dot. Can you feel it? Can you feel it? Just. It's irritable. It's irritable. I know what I was going to tell you. You have to look at all of the writing because irritability is a frustration when little things don't go to suit you. It's no big deal, but can make you a little to be around, you know. Years ago, when I had just started this, I was not very good at it, but I had memorized my homework pretty good. And we were standing in line, Golden Day, a whole bunch of people we knew. We were all on a trip together. And we were waiting and waiting and waiting, and I thought, well, I'll just analyze everybody's handwriting. And this couple came up. We knew them. They were friends. And I was doing Charlie, and I said, well, you have some irritability. And his wife, oh, no, he doesn't. He's the sweetest man in the world. And of course, I didn't know whether I was right or wrong. But this is what you call evaluation. In desperation, I looked at his sample of handwriting, and I saw extreme diplomacy. Remember what I said? Tactful. I said, well, maybe you're just so tactful you don't let her know that you're feeling this irritability.
He was right.
And so that's just the tiniest example of evaluation. If you get back to the T's, and I don't even know that I have a good demonstration of this, so I will just explain it to you. But two traits that intensify your goal setting and your accomplishment are determination and decisiveness. And see, I have two of them and I don't have the third one. And I notice a difference in the things that I accomplish. If you can't decide, okay, so what does it mean? Determination is a good downstroke. Look at your Y's, look at your G's. If the stroke down, you sure it will have a loop on the end of it. See if I got a peppermint. Oh well, that's all right. See, I have a remedy for everything. I was going to help her cough, but I don't know where it is, so I will let her get some more. A strong downstroke is determination. You add determination with goal setting, you can just, it doesn't take a rocket scientist to figure out those two go real well together. And so what does indecisiveness look like? It's where your final stroke, be it in a word or in a sentence, it's the final stroke. If it fades out to nothing, that's indecisiveness. That's what I have. I can't make up my mind. I want to sleep on it. I want to ask you what you think. I just don't move real well when something is facing me. And so I see that in myself. That is evaluation. Good goal setting, good determination, not very decisive. So you take a little back out of that wonderful look, you know. So,
Excuse me, what did you say if they have a loop or something at the end of it? Like if I have a loop or...
oh, and then you're getting into the area of friends, sex,
Okay,
imagination,
with the loop?
in your G and your Y, yeah. And the way you, but see, you have to pay for that.
Yeah, pay for it. You do, you have to pay for it.
You have to pay me to tell you about Not really, not really. He wants to go into lower loops. Lower loops, the larger the loop, the larger the imagination. It means you love being around people, you feed off of being around people because it adds to your experience and to your imagination. If you have very skinny lower loops, they almost close up on you. This means you're very selective of your intimate friends. You have very few, maybe only one, maybe only yourself, and you just do not welcome the world. Yes?
So basically what I'm getting from your writing is almost like your fingerprint then, in a sense.
Yeah, I said that. It's as individual as
Yeah.
your fingerprint.
Gotcha.
It can be.
So-
You were
okay.
probably setting up your
I was-
stuff when
yeah.
I was talking about that. All right, y'all want me to do this lady?
Lynn.
Lynn?
Mhm.
Loyal, emotionally outgoing. You feel and experience everything the minute it happens. I will look for this handwriting to see what slows you down. Because if the way you were born, the way you react to people and circumstances, you are very emotional, very outgoing, very impulsive.
She read shoes.
You probably will buy things and get home and say, I didn't need that, why did I buy that? It really don't look that good on me. But at the time, you were feeling it. And, however, let's see. And you want attention. Oh, you just really want everybody to know this. And I can show you the stroke. I'm not getting it from watching you. I'm not getting, but you have a sense of humor. You can laugh at yourself. You can ease the strain for others in an awkward situation. It's my favorite stroke, my favorite little trait. Somebody's hurt you in the past, though. You've got some resentment. You in spite of all the outgoingness, when it really comes important, you back off a little bit, you go trust them before you get very close to them.
That is so 100% accurate.
Yeah, it is. I'm sitting there like, damn. Yeah.
And ask her where she put her kumquat. No, don't ask
I
her.
didn't hear it.
Yeah, she said, where'd I put my kumquat? And I said, I put it in my bra.
That's the humor.
You didn't give her one?
I thought maybe it was a dirty word. We are in a church.
Then you go on in the church, too.
But you have a mothering instinct. You want to take care of people.
Oh, my
You want to
goodness.
make them more comfortable. You're very, very sympathetic when it comes to something like that.
I'm sitting
And did I say diplomatic? Very
Yes.
diplomatic, very, very diplomatic. And you've got that sense of humor. Persistent. Persistence, in case you don't, I don't know whether I've even got a persistence. I'm going to give you this back. You've had enough attention. And the time may be running out. Y'all have got a nice Italian lunch waiting on you. And so when you want me to hush,
Not as nice as that, ain't it?
Hmm?
Not as nice as this, what you doing?
oh, you like what
We do.
do
Do
you know
somebody
something?
else.
I had my
Do another
daddy.
person.
My daddy used to
Do
go to
Roderick.
sleep in church every day. I mean, every Sunday. 15 minutes and he was, and they used to kid him. I mean, the whole congregation knew my daddy went to sleep in church. And he used to say, at home usually, but if anybody asked him about it, he said, nobody can talk longer than 15 minutes and keep it interesting. He says you can say anything you want to say in the first 15 minutes.
Lina has one better. What is yours, Lina?
And I can
She said 10
talk
words.
for an hour or more and keep you all sitting here. Do you know why? I'm talking about you.
Okay.
I'm not talking about me, I'm talking about you.
Say it.
And
Yeah.
people will sit and listen and listen and listen if you're
Yeah.
talking
About
about them.
them.
That's right.
Yeah, he's been trying to ask me a question forever.
So my question is, how did you get into this?
I saw back, y'all are gonna figure out how old I am before this is over with, but when I was very young, very young, like 30,
Trust me, they're closer to your age than you can
that's
imagine.
very young. Anyway, I saw Johnny Carson, and Johnny Carson used to have people on his show who were not famous, but who were good at something they did. He had a little old school teacher, well, she wasn't even old, she was just a little plain school teacher on, who analyzed handwriting.
Wow.
And she said she had, like, very young children, I don't know whether it was first grade, second grade, but they were learning to write. And she says, I can pick up any paper off the floor without a name on it and know whose writing it was. And I thought that was so interesting, and I told my mother, and I also told her I wanted to do yoga. And she was a sweet lady, I miss her a lot. And the next Mother's Day, I got a book from both my kids. One was on handwriting analysis, and one was on yoga. I did the yoga first, didn't even read the book on handwriting. But when I got into it, at the last of the book, it said, I had to leave certain things out that should not be in the hands of an amateur. That made me so mad that I wanted to know it all. And so I took a course from the International Graphical Analysis Society in Chicago. It was, it was as long as it took you to do it. But the interesting part about the course is you would have to write up an analysis after learning all the things they sent you. And if you didn't get an A, they sent it back to you to do again. They did not want it in the hands of the occult. They didn't want us wearing muumuus and turbans and trying to be woo-woo about it. They wanted to be very scientific. And I guarantee you, if you go for a job and they want you to write something, they're gonna have your handwriting looked at. I mean, it's not widely used, but it's being used in personnel work. I worked for a personnel company once, but I couldn't, it was so hard for me. Here was a company that wanted somebody that did something specific. And these young people would come in with this not real great handwriting. And yet I was supposed to send them out. That was my job, to send out applicants to this company, and I knew that if they weren't right for each, I didn't last that long. I had to quit.
Wow.
I saw a hand. Who wanted to ask a question?
I wanted to know if you do mine.
Now, we've got 30 people here. I tell you what, if you will try to find me after lunch, I will be glad to, unless you want the attention. If you want the attention, I'll do it in front of everybody.
Do it.
Do it. I get mine. Well, yeah, I don't care.
What?
Yeah, I did mine.
Huh? In other words, y'all want to pick who I do.
Well, that's because we know the character traits.
But she found things I don't.
Okay, this is you. You don't like authority. You don't want anybody telling you what to do. It's got to be your idea. However, the good is, I never worked for a boss that didn't have this trait. I mean, it is something, but you need to know you've got it. I'm going to show you what it is, because y'all can all pick from this. Look for, I don't even know that I've got it. Here, let me do it on this.
What do you have, Maureen?
My name is Myrna.
Myrna. What do you have?
She put some samples. She put some samples.
Oh,
Right, yeah.
I don't have one, that's what I'm going for. Okay, I want you to look at your K. Did I tell y'all to write, I think?
Yes.
Yeah.
You said the whole statement.
The K is where you see whether you're defiant to authority or not. You can find it other places, but this is the main place you'll see it. All right, if we're taught correctly, this part right here should be down low in the lowercase area. When that second stroke goes up into the upper zone, that means you're defiant to authority. And so it means you don't like orders. You do not want people to. Now there's one thing, if you are working for a boss who you really respect, you can take it from them. But don't let somebody next to you that doesn't know any more than you do start telling you what to do. And then you have to look for the diplomacy and look for closed A's and O's. Now see, I talked about open A's and O's, which is your talkativeness. But if you close your A's and O's very neatly at the top, and you do it all through the writing, this means you can be very quiet. You can hold things in. And so, good if you got some of both. It's nice to be talkative at times, it's nice to be quiet at times.
J.B. Bailey.
Huh?
J.B. Bailey.
Roderick, okay?
Okay, let's get back to the captain. I want to give you one.
Can you analyze by?
Oh, well, let me get through this one.
Okay.
But get back, I don't want y'all going out of here. There's one thing you've got to remember. I'm not teaching you any of this to be judgmental. I mean, if you only use it to understand people, and it makes you so much more tolerant. If you see somebody that's irritable and sarcastic and they're just not fun to be around, you look at that handwriting and you say, oh, he's so sensitive to criticism. He takes things the wrong way. He gets his feelings hurt, but he don't want anybody to know it, so he's sarcastic and irritable, and that's his defense. But see, I want to show you just those two traits. I really do, because that can help you a lot. That's why I don't want to get too tied up in doing individual handwritings, because y'all may think it's very interesting, but if I took every one of these samples and went around the room, 3/4, maybe 1/5 would be asleep before I got through. You're not that interested in other people. You really aren't. You know, it's now this is you still.
Okay.
Well, you're so emotional. You're so emotional. Your image of yourself is good though. This good imagination. You have a logical, creative mind. You want to build things. You start at the bottom and you build and you build and you build. And when you got it, you got it. It lasts for you a long time. People might have thought you were slow in school. No way. No way. It's because you maybe missed the second or third lesson and you were out on a limb. You've got to build that information. Once you've got it, you've got it. You could be very creative. You could be very creative. And your imagination is good. And then this is the second person. They're crossing the T. It's really strange. There's a T here, and they're crossing it like this. They're coming from the end of the word back to the stem of the T and crossing it.
That's what I do.
That's the way yours are.
I mean, I'm surprised to see
That's the way you cross.
several in one group. But you know what it proves? Like a track slide. I mean, you will find a lot of similarities if I did the whole room. You would find a lot of similarities. I did a Mademoiselle party once, a long time ago. And I never saw the end of the line. I was just sitting at a table doing one at a time. And I was getting worried by the first hour that went by because I was saying the same thing. You're creative. You're this. You're that. You're this. You're that. And then the next one would come, I'd say the exact same thing. And I know they thought I was just a broken record, that I was just saying the same thing. Honey, they were all guilty of having the same traits. But that's what it took to be on a magazine. They had to have the creativity, they had to have the ease of influence of words, because a lot of them were writers and things like that. Let me see. Showmanship. Ooh. Are you left-handed? You're hard on yourself. You're he's got a sarcastic stroke directed to himself.
You have about 10 minutes left, so I think that you should show us those two things you want and maybe take one more question,
Okay?
and then we'll eat lunch.
Okay. I'm gonna try to do this way. That may not be a good example, but you will get the idea. Look at your small d. 8 of them are A-I-D. If there's a loop in that D, you're sensitive to criticism. It's a fear of disapproval. And the bigger the loop, the bigger the fear. And the more often it appears, the stronger the trait. In other words, if you have it every now and then and it's not real big, I would maybe not mention it, but maybe say there's one thing you're sensitive about. I mean, you find a person maybe who's got a physical disability, maybe they've got a bad foot and they walk with a limp or something like that. And their writing, they only show this every now and then. And it may mean that they have a brother that teases them about that foot or something like that. It's an isolated situation, and so you have to take it in view of the whole thing before you say too much. But if you see it bigger than this is pretty big. But if you see it, I mean, I have seen it where I mean, the loop is so big, even bigger than that. That's paranoia. I mean, and let's explain the trait just a little bit. Because if I take any one of you, or your boss, or your parent takes any one of you, and really rakes you over the coals, of course that's gonna hurt. That's gonna hurt, it's gonna make you feel bad. But when it appears in your handwriting, it's your imagination at work. It's not true, the true feeling that comes from just being criticized. You take things the wrong way. People make a comment, and you think, oh, but men particularly don't want to be known as poor little me, you hurt my feelings. I mean, that's just not macho. So what do? They cross their T's. I'm going to have trouble with this because I don't have the trait anymore. I used to. There, it's not there. It's a T-bar that starts out heavy and fades out strong. It's a slashing stroke. The more the slash, the more the sarcasm. The shorter the stroke, the stronger the sarcasm. And so how do these two go together? And this is a defense. Irritability is a defense. Closed O's is a defense. Keeping your mouth shut when you feel that hurt. Emotional withdrawal is a defense. You just pull back and work it out all by yourself. That's backhand writing, by the way. When your handwriting goes this way. Yeah, that means you emotionally pull back and sort of work everything out by yourself. Before we wind this up, does anybody have a question?
Yeah, I was gonna ask, like, does it mean anything if you dot your I's and cross your T's after you write the whole word out, or if you sometimes I'll just write the T and then
And you go
toss
back?
it, and then I'll write the rest of the word, like, does it?
Well, and pretty much I would say you do everything that way. You will be on a project and you'll get it this much done, and you'll say, oh, but I've got to do this, and I've got to do that, I've got to do that, and you'll go back and you'll get it just right before you present it to the world. Because you know it's supposed to be dotted, you know it's supposed to be crossed, but you're in a rush, and you know, and so, but sometimes you all don't even have to know how to analyze handwriting. If you pick up a handwriting and you start describing it, you will end up describing a lot of the personality that goes with that handwriting. Now, signatures. I'm going to do signatures real quick, and then y'all can go eat. Flamboyant signatures. If it's in good taste, and that's the thing, if it's pleasing to the eye, this is showmanship. If it's too much, if it's not pleasing to the eye, they will take it to extremes. And you will think, okay, it's time to turn the switch down. Yeah.
Would it be also considered arrogance?
Arrogance is I think it's more, arrogance can come in with those wonderful goals and determination because you're very self-confident, but you look for the softening traits to go with it. A generosity trait. Look at the end stroke on a sentence or on a word. If it's shaped like this, like I'm giving you something. I'm giving. Generosity is not that often seen in handwriting, but when it is, it's a kind trait. It's wanting to give to people, and it may not be money. We don't all have money, but it's your time, your consideration, your effort to give. And so that softens something that you might call arrogance. And another thing, a soft, yielding, a rounded S. You know, we're taught to make an S this way, with a point. Okay. By the way, I did a lecture once for 350 people, and I had no props. They were supposed to bring me a board, and they didn't in the hotel. And so I had all these people wanting to hear me. I had to explain everything with words. I had nothing to show them. But let's get back to the S, the pointed S. If you start rounding that S off, it doesn't have a point on it. That's a yielding personality. That means you will, when I tell kids, I says, run around with people you admire and respect, because you will go along with people if it's all through the right. Okay, I've enjoyed you.
What about the signature? Were you going to say anything else? Just the
Can I
front.
just ask one quick question? Have you ever analyzed a doctor's signature that you
Sure.
can't read?
Well, I tell you, it doesn't matter whether you read it or not. I don't read the words or look at the strokes. I look at the stroke,
Okay.
and I'll wind up with this. Y'all might get a laugh out of it. I used to be right cute, and when I was back in that line, way back in my youth, and this man wanted me to do his handwriting. He handed me a card, just like you all have done, just a little short note. And I analyzed the whole thing, what I saw about it. And he was standing there and he said, well? And I said, well, what? And he says, you didn't read it? And I said, no. He had asked me to come to his room.
Yes.
Question. Is there some place, when you leave, you know, people are going to be curious about this. Is there some place on the web we can go and just take a look at some of this on the web?
Well, that's so interesting because my grandson, he wants me to do 10 segments and put them on YouTube. But we haven't
You
done
know,
it yet.
and also, if y'all didn't quite get all the notes and everything, we're gonna be putting this video on Common Ground
You're taping me?
Yes. Is that okay? We normally ask the speakers before.
You just failed to do that, didn't you?
Yeah, but you know, normally in the past we've asked Nina and everybody, we told them, but I guess I was running around or somewhere.
I will say only one. What are you gonna make a CD out of it?
No, it's on our Facebook site.
It'll be a CD.
No,
I mean, it'll be a video.
Yeah.
like YouTube or something.
Only if you send it to me.
First.
No, I didn't say anything.
No, you're fine.
No.
I used the word hell once.
No. Quiet now.
It was delightful.
And James,
I might not have pranced around.
you all should stop doing that.
But I think it's okay.
It was just finished.
We'll talk about that later, Dwayne.
I mean, you really should.
No, we'll talk about that later. This is not the time for
All
that.
right, you've got my permission.
Thank you.
Okay. And here are her cards if you did want to hire her to read yours.
Or if you have any questions about.
So, real quickly, this what you do for a living? Do you just go around traveling doing this, or you do it by invitation only?
I
Or?
used to do parties and conventions. I do not make a business of it anymore. If you want a reading, I will set it up with you and it will cost you $50. It's very, I don't know. I really want to do good with it more than I want to make money with it. And
Well, I mean, I live in Florida. The reason I'm asking is.
I would make you write it and send it to me, and we would do it over the telephone. I can analyze your handwriting over the telephone. The only thing I cannot see is the pressure that you do on it, but ballpoint pens have done away with pressure. I mean,
Because it's fluid.
the pencil is really the best thing we've got now, because if you write heavy, it comes out heavier, and if you write light, it comes out
light.
Now, see, this right here, you see how those strokes fade?
Right.
That's my indecisiveness. The best example of that is when my friend, we were at a meeting, very small, but similar to this, about 10 people, and her husband had a heart attack that night. And we had to leave the meeting because he was sick, and they took him to the hospital and he died. And we weren't good friends, but she was a neighbor and I was very much acquainted with her. And my heart broke for her. I wanted to do something. Should I say flowers? Should I take food? Should I go to see her? Guess what? I didn't do anything. That's an indecision. It's also a fear of disapproval. I didn't know whether she'd want me to or not. We weren't that good of friends. Maybe she don't want to see me.
Right.
You know, but that shows you how you can get so. I still feel guilty about it. I'm still talking about it. You know, that is just a terrible feeling. So if you're indecisive, work on it.
Now, if there is a group that's willing to,
Oh, I'd work with you.
okay.
Yeah, but God don't have it here. I would never get down here.
Oh,
That was
I
the
drove.
worst. She drove my car. That was the worst
so
ride.
are you heading Jessup somewhere?